Hey,
Don't
everyone.
do it.
It is Rick and Brett, and it is Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And that means it is time for Tuesday Night Live with Cairo Destiny. And as you can see, we have no guest speaker. This is all you need. Everybody needs a little Brett and Rick in their life, especially during Thanksgiving week. Brett, great to see you, brother.
We are
Special
by the way,
week.
we are affectionately known as Brick.
Right, just squeeze it all together. Call us Brick, we'll both answer to it.
Yeah.
And it's obviously a special week, weird time. We wanted to spend a little time talking about gratitude. Specifically, we could talk gratitude in how to bring gratitude back into your businesses, into your practices. We have chiropractors on tonight. We have non-chiropractors on tonight. We have friends, we have spouses. We got all sorts of stuff going on tonight. But it's a serious topic, and it's obviously something that has meant so much to you and I over the years. In practice, in our personal lives. So just start us off. How do you gratitude? It's a crazy time. How are people able to find gratitude during this the craziest time where they can't even have Thanksgiving dinner with their families? Things are going crazy.
Well, I think, like, my opinion is, whether you're in practice, whatever your vocation is, wherever you are in the world, it's a chaotic, crazy, mixed up world right now. There's no doubt about it. But my belief is, and what's gotten me through a lot of times in my own life, is there's always a silver lining. There's always something to be grateful for. Some of the biggest practitioners, some of the people who have succeeded the most in life, whoever they are, they've gone through things that we can't even comprehend, we can't even imagine, have found things to be grateful for. And John DeMartini, many years ago, one thing I always learned from him was, the more grateful you are, the more the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, whatever that higher power is for you, it gives you more things to be grateful for. So it begins to kind of snowball. And I think finding love and gratitude and generosity and all these different things in your life, whatever it is, I think your energy begins to change, your attraction begins to go up. And I think you can really live a better life, a more successful life, by always finding that. And one thing we've always talked about, especially for chiropractors, is every morning, if you started your day with an attitude of gratitude, I have a gratitude journal, writing 7 things, or whatever the number is for you. We always say 7, it's the magic universal number. But let's say you started every morning writing 7 things you're grateful for, no matter what kind of day you had the night before, or what kind of morning you're having, it doesn't matter. Every time you wake up, you get to start all over again with a fresh page on your life, if you will. And it's an opportunity to get into a different kind of state. Tony Robbins talks about, to be successful, to find happiness and joy, you need to manage your states. Love, gratitude, and generosity are some of the highest vibrational states. And if we can purposely get into that on a daily basis, you can change your life. So writing in your journal every single morning, 7 things that you're grateful for, no matter what it is. Once your mind starts to go down that path, it's amazing that you find things that you're grateful for. And the more grateful you become and you get into that state, it's amazing the people, the situations you start to attract into your life, right? And to me, that's what it's all about. And to me, the key is, start every morning in that state. You'll have such a better day. No doubt about it.
We've talked about, one of the things we teach is our mental board of directors.
Yep.
So imagine that you have this, in your head, in your imagination, you have that old-fashioned boardroom with that big mahogany table, and who's in your mental board of directors. And, for me, I have, both of my parents, and I have certain historical figures, Leonardo da Vinci, and I got Benjamin Franklin over here. I got people all over the place. And Oprah Winfrey talks about gratitude and creating a gratitude journal. And one of the people that I have in my mental board of directors was Christopher Reeve. And here's a guy who's got the world right where he wants it. He's Superman, for goodness sake, and really has everything that that most people want. And one tragic accident in his life is drastically altered, never walks again, ventilator, the whole thing. And yet, for me, he still had the fortitude and the guts to still go out and be a motivational speaker for the rest of his life, talking about finding gratitude when a trauma took him from the absolute pinnacle of life right down, and the incident or that event never defined him. And that's always my link to gratitude, is finding where people that have just the worst circumstances and they still have the guts to keep going, and they still can stand up one more time that they've been knocked down, and they can find gratitude. We certainly can.
Absolutely. And the key is finding your purpose in life, your life's purpose, because that will transcend any negativity going on. And you know what? Every single person that's watching us now, every chiropractor we know, every friend, family member, it doesn't matter. Every one of us is going to go through stuff in our life. Nobody gets to escape that. That's just the way it is. That's life, right? Yeah. Life is difficult. Isn't that the first line in the book? Right? By Scott, whatever his name is, right? Yeah. Life is difficult. However, when your purpose is so strong and clear and your life is driven by that purpose, it helps you to get through the tough times. Listen, we're all going through tough times right now. I don't care who you are, practice, not practice, whatever. People are going through anxiety and depression and with the whole, pandemic, and I don't want to keep bringing it up, and now we're going through spikes, and then it was the election, and it's crazy right now. You don't want to leave your house. You want to get out of bed. You want to stay in bed, right? But depending on who you are, you get to affect a lot of people's lives in a good way. You really can, right? So as chiropractors, we get to do it with a hands-on healing approach and so forth. But every single person has an effect and can have a positive effect and influence somebody else, a child, a significant other, a family member, a friend, someone who's down. Stranger. It's a decision, right? We always say success is a decision away, a decision that can be made like that if you're in the right state. And if you look for the things to be grateful for, it's amazing how you'll start to attract more of it into your life.
Brett, letting you know that Tristan Kiki just said that they can finally get their adjustment after a 5-month wait. So
yes, for you. Tristan Kiki was in Aruba, and then when she just came back, had a quarantine for 2 weeks. So we can't wait to have her back in with open arms.
She's grateful for her adjustment, I'll tell you that. So what we want to do is we took the word gratitude, we made an acronym. We just want to share a couple of thoughts with you. So starting with the G in gratitude is generosity. My model of generosity is obviously my father. I think Larry's the most generous human being I've ever come across. And we could sit here and tell countless stories on the thousands and thousands of people he's influenced. But when you look around for the mentors in your life, finding your mentor for generosity, I think, is a great idea. Is, looking at someone that is always selfless, always looking to help, always looking to reach back, taking their own journey up the mountaintop, and always having the time and the understanding that you get further in life not when you get what you want, it's when you help other people get what they want. And this giving time, this Thanksgiving, especially in this year, I think there's so much opportunity to help. Let's just dovetail a little bit. I know we did our masterminds for Chiro Destiny this week, and there were some brilliant ideas in our masterminds on how people are utilizing gratitude to create these opportunities in their communities to make an influence and make an impact. What came up in some of your masterminds?
A lot of people talked about how they're going to show generosity towards their staff, for instance, things they're going to do for them. One of the things that we always talk about, whether it's a spouse, a significant other, staff, whomever, we talk about a book called The 5 Love Languages. And when you know their love language, you can begin to communicate that with them. And then you could be generous in terms of time, money, gifts, whatever the person's love language is. And you can certainly do that. People talk.
If you haven't read that book, the last name is Chapman for the author.
Yep.
Fabulous book. They make it for business. They make it for personal.
Yep. So great opportunity. So you should get that book for personal, or if you're in business. But they talked about also, or we talked about being generous in your community, things that you can do, food drives. What typically what we do in our office every year is we put together these big food baskets and we talk to the local shelters. We find families who are a little, maybe struggling this year or whatever. We create this huge food basket, turkey, the whole 9 yards. We just knock on their door. We don't even tell them who we are. We just say, hey, this is a gift for you. They see, we're all dressed up, whatever. So they get the sense that we're somebody. Leave them the food basket. We just walk away. and just giving of our time and resources to other people. So a lot of things like that came up. One of the things that I said that I was going to do is I'm going to read a letter to my staff, thanking each one of them in this letter, and just letting them know how much I appreciate them and everything that they do for us and our community. And people need to hear that, especially now. And
I also love the concept of you handwriting the letter as opposed to typing.
Right.
For those of you who don't understand, there are different types of ways to open up the subconscious mind and kinesthetics. Actually writing a letter these days, as opposed to typing or dictating, it actually does something to your subconscious mind. Right. So we recommend that you actually write thank you notes of gratitude, especially at this time of year.
Absolutely. How about you? What came up in your mastermind?
Some of the generosity was amazing because we had chiropractors that were donating portions of certain days or weeks to local food banks or local shelters. We had canned food drives. We had clothing drives. I know there were some school supplies and things like that because school was so interesting. Technology drives because there are so many kids now that have to learn virtually, but they didn't have laptops or iPads or internet. And there were families that were sponsoring other families that didn't have internet and paying for their internet, and just such creative things. And I think you and I agree, it doesn't even matter what the thing is.
Right, exactly.
It's just being selfless and just recognizing how fortunate we are to have a roof over our head. Somebody doesn't. Food in your stomach, somebody doesn't. The freedoms that we have to have transportation, have our own vehicle. You don't realize the things we take for granted. Just as simple as, I live in Florida, but having heat, things that are so basic in need that people don't have.
Right.
So, just looking for way to, outside of the four walls of your office, get your team together and realize that you're not just a business team, you're a family, and your family should take every opportunity to reach out to other families, get to know them, adopt them in some way or another. You'll feel better about yourself, and that's what it's all about. So we said gratitude was generosity was number one. How about releasing outcomes? So remember Wayne Dyer, when he was one of the guest speakers, I think 1997, when you and I met in The Secrets of Manifesting Your Destiny, he talked about releasing outcomes. And one of the facts is we get so wrapped up in our goal setting, which is very important to our philosophy. The Chiro Destiny philosophy is all about setting goals, all about being specific and telling the universe what you want. But it's also about detaching, releasing from those outcomes, because once you put your mind forward, the world, the universe is going to knock you around a little bit. You have to be ready to handle those situations, right?
Well, I think, and I agree. And I think that the key is when you release, when you just give of yourself, just to give of yourself because you want to, it's the right thing, you want to help another human being or family or whomever it is or whatever context is right for you, and then not worry about the outcome, how it's going to come back to you. They talk about the whole you give through is the whole you receive through. So the universal law states that when you put this out there, right, it comes back to you tenfold, but you're not focused on what you're getting back. But by just putting this energy out there, it's the right thing to do. You're helping other people. You totally detach from it, right? It's amazing what starts to happen. It's one of the greatest practice builders of all time, believe it or not. So chiropractors, if you're in your practice as an example, or just in your life, if you're not a chiropractor, but just give of yourself and then let it go, and whatever, and all the good that just starts to manifest.
And I think that's the lesson. The lesson is letting it go. And I know this is the worst example. By the way, Anthony Cusateri says hi.
Hey, Anthony.
What's up, brother?
Shout out to Cindy Saronin.
Yep.
Margiata, somebody I haven't seen from high school in a long time. Great girl.
Love it. So, remember the example. Remember when you were in like grade school and you had a pack of gum and you had one piece left. And your friend goes, "Oh, do you have any gum?" You're like, "Oh, yeah, but I only have one piece left." Give the freaking one piece to the kid.
Right.
Yeah, but what an opportunity to just give it away. You don't know what's coming back at you. Because you gave that one piece of gum away, the ice cream truck is coming right around the corner and stopping right in front of your house.
That's exactly right.
So let's go to the other one. Let's go to just the whole feeling of abundance.
Yep.
because now you're dealing with that scarcity mentality versus an abundance mentality. And you and I are witness every single day to people not understanding that the world is abundant, that the world is not a pizza that just because you got a slice, there's one less slice for me. It's an all you can eat buffet that keeps getting refilled, but it's hard for people to make that leap. How do you help them make that leap?
Well, I struggled with this for many years early on in my career, which was there weren't enough new patients. There wasn't enough money going around. There wasn't enough this. There wasn't enough that. And somebody said to me, your father, years ago, actually said to me at a seminar, walking through the bar at a hotel, pulled me aside before I actually got to know him and said, "You've got a poverty consciousness." And I didn't understand what that meant. But somehow either he observed the way I was speaking or whatever actions I was taking or not taking. So when he said to me, "I have a poverty consciousness," it just set this little thing off in my mind. Like, one, what does that mean? And it just felt like I couldn't afford this. There's not enough this. And then that started to permeate in every aspect of my life. And then when I started,
I think he caught you stealing the sweet and low packets.
Right? No, I was stealing the robes and towel out of my hotel room.
Right.
So then I learned that there's an abundance mentality or a prosperity consciousness. And I started to understand what that meant. And so what I did was literally, I took a full year and read and studied everything that I could on what it meant to have and develop and evolve into a prosperity consciousness. Saying affirmations, I started to look around and observe. I started to study people who had a lot of things in their life. Not just money or things, I shouldn't say, but a lot of love, great relationships, all the things that we all want, right? In our life, great relationship with our kids, significant other, enough money to do what we want and go wherever you want, all that stuff, a house or this, that, whatever it means for you that I didn't have at the time, again, many years ago. And as I started to study prosperity, I started to change my thinking as I observed that if other people could do it, well, so could I. I just needed to tap into what was their thinking. So it was a limiting belief. I started to break it down and develop empowering beliefs, but I studied it. I read, I this, I that, all these wonderful things. And as I started to change and started to think differently, that's when my life started to change. And I got to tell you, it's just a wonderful,
I love the concept that you brought up, which is most people think about abundance about money. It's not.
Right.
It's about everything. It's an abundance of health. It's an abundance of friendship. It's an abundance of love. There's so many things that grow as you put focus into it. So just don't limit yourself to, it's not the amount of money in your bank account alone. It's all the other things that are so abundant in life. What about time? I'm going to take this one because I've told this story from stage so many times. Is I've always, since I'm a teenager, had this sort of concept of time ticking so quickly. My mom passed away when I was 18 years old. She was 45. And you realize that, wow, that's not a lot of time to live. I have some stuff I want to accomplish. I can't waste any time. And when it comes to this gratitude thing that we're talking about, especially during Thanksgiving week, well, gratitude, there's no better time than now. Now's the time to show gratitude. Yes, in the middle of COVID. Yes, in the middle of elections. Yes, in the middle of tropical storms. It's a crazy year. Yes, everyone can make fun of 2020, but there's no better time than to show generosity. There's no better time to show that even when things seem the darkest, you still have it inside of yourself to be selfless and give to others. I sort of relish the fact that I'm so conscious about time because it makes me sit on my butt a little less and stay in action a little bit more.
And I think when it comes to time and abundance and everything else, people think, well, when I this, then I'll have this. They're always thinking about down the road. But again, I think it's about present time consciousness in being in the moment. Forget about the past. You can't change the past. You can learn from the past. And then we start worrying about and having anxiety about the future that's not even here yet. Right. But if you stay present, if you really learn to be present and stay in the present moment, right? First of all, time starts to slow down, and then you can start to create things now. So even in the time of Corona, and all these other things. And you hear people say it all the time. I can't wait for, 2020 to be over with. What a crazy year. I can't wait for 21, blah, 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 blah. And I say, okay, that might be true because we've all experienced a lot of different craziness this year, but it's also an opportunity. We've talked about opportunity now, even in the midst of craziness, to think differently, to create something new and better. It forces us out of our comfort zone. It's lessons that maybe it forces us to learn certain things that we needed to learn. We got, kicked upside our head because we were doing things one way and it really wasn't getting us anywhere. And then all of a sudden now, because of some extreme thing, now it's forced us to think differently. And as a result, your life can get better. But focusing on now and not worrying about so far down the road, I think is another key point.
Yeah, don't wish months to go by. You don't know if you're getting them back.
Right.
The only thing you're not getting is more time. You can't get it back.
Right.
So wishing that that clock strikes 12 again and you have one more glass of champagne and a quick midnight kiss and go to sleep by 12:01.
Right.
I want that to go as slow as possible.
And by the way, you know what someone said to me once many years ago that I will never forget? They said to me when I was getting into practice for the first, early on, they said, never, ever, ever live for the weekends. A lot of people do that, right? You start off, oh, it's Monday, right? And then you just got to get through Twitter. Oh, Wednesday's hump day. Oh, Thursday. Oh, yay, Saturday and Sunday, right? And we forget that all the other days that we could have created and done wonderful things for other people, whatever the case might be, don't live for the weekends. Live for each day at a time.
And I want to segue that into the I in gratitude, because the influence is you have an opportunity now, and I'm going to even venture to say it's a responsibility. And to me, the influence is not having influence over other people, meaning you control them. It's an opportunity to influence them in positive ways. To maybe it's share a book that you've read, maybe it's share even a quote that you just said. I love when you pop up with something you remember from reading something or seeing something at a seminar. Right. But I think ultimately it's about giving people hope.
Yep.
As chiropractors, that's our job. Is we walk into a room when we meet a new patient for the first time, and the first thing we offer is hope.
Yep.
And I don't take that lightly at all. I'm in practice January will be 25 years. That means you're in 28 years, I believe.
Yep.
And I know you and I talk about it all the time. We would do it all again right now, because the one part that never gets old is that every opportunity you walk into a room, you have time to influence someone and offer them hope at some aspect of their life.
So we say, and part of our purpose in life is to give people hope and inspiration, right? You and I always talk about part of our purpose in life is to give people hope and inspiration. And by the way, that should be everybody's part of their purpose, right? Because it doesn't matter. You could give somebody hope and inspiration, a child, a significant other, someone who's hurting, right? Someone who just needs a little pick-me-up, someone who just needs a kind word. It doesn't matter. Give people hope and inspiration. Every one of us can do that, especially now, right? I don't know about you, but in this crazy year, not only are people struggling, like we talked about, with anxiety and depression, all that stuff, because they're stuck in their homes, they can't travel, they can't do certain things. But it seems like a lot of people in the hospital having all kinds of issues, people just not sure what the next steps are, right? So I believe it's an opportunity to really impact people by just giving somebody a kind word, helping them out, doing whatever you can. It goes a long way. It really does.
Absolutely. And that dovetails into tithing, the next T. And, as you know, the tithing is about giving 10%, sort of biblically it was giving 10% of everything, to that greater power, whatever that is spiritually for you. But for us, it's understanding universal law. And universal law, the universe will always reward proper action.
Yep.
Right? It's taking proper action. And for us, it's easy. We're in a healing art. But for those of you who are listening that, are not chiropractors and, you don't maybe understand that being an accountant or being a teacher or being a police officer or being a homemaker, which is the hardest job on the planet Earth, by the way, the most rewarding, but the biggest pain in the butt. You don't realize sometimes that by you taking proper action to just be a good friend, be a good parent, be a good son or a daughter, I mean, that is telling the universe that you are in the game and doing the right things with the right intent. You will always get rewarded for that. That's what the universe sees all the time. You can't lie to the mirror and you can't lie to your Bible, whatever it is for you, right? You always know what your intent is. Keep your intent pure and just continue to reach out.
Excellent. What's the next one?
Universal intelligence.
Universal intelligence. There's an intelligence in everything, right? I think that people forget how, listen, everybody has different theories about this. I've always lived my life as nothing happens by accident. Everything happens for a reason. I always look for the positive when things do happen. I think that the universe is in complete order. It doesn't always feel that way. And I think, especially in times like this, it's very easy to say, you know, we're all being punished, you know, for whatever reason, which is really not the case. But I think everything happens for a reason. And I think that if you look for the lessons and you find them, I think it's such a learning experience.
Right.
I think that you can really, one, help yourself to feel better and live better. And again, helping other people the same way. There
are no mistakes, just lessons to be learned.
Exactly right.
Okay, the last two. The D is for do the right thing. I have one of my closest friends, Andy, used to make fun of me. He used to call me Spike Lee all the time. He used to call me Spike. And it was because he always caught me doing the right thing. And we were in school together. Someone needed help. If someone needed notes, if someone wanted to study, if someone was having trouble with, you know, learning an adjustment, if someone needed a ride, so I just always, again, use Larry as my mentor on generosity and just do the right thing. I can only share my side of how that's affected my life and helped me in my life. And even though we've all had our stuff go on in life, and I've certainly had my share, I still find the world to be an unbelievably generous, loving, wonderful place. Even though some things happen, those events don't have to define you. But the last one, the E, is, I know you wanted to take this one, is that everybody wins.
I didn't know I wanted to take this one. Everybody wins. Well, if you've done everything that we've talked about in the whole gratitude thing, it's really about creating a win-win for everybody. Anytime you're in a negotiation, anytime you're in a relationship, to me, it's always, what can I do for the other person aside from myself? And how can we both win from this? And I think that's really the key. And I'd like to dovetail that. What popped into my head was forgiveness. Because I think this is another biggie, that people beat themselves up, or they're in relationships or a relationship that went bad. There's a lot of pent up anger. We've all been there, right? And as I've learned over the years, the number one thing to help me heal and I think people need to learn, in order to heal whatever it is, body, mind, and spirit, it's about forgiveness, right? And that's so when you say everybody wins, that's what comes to mind. I think forgiveness is probably the number one thing, because first, forgive yourself. Stop beating yourself up. We all make mistakes. So you have to learn to love yourself and forgive yourself. Learn from the mistakes. Learn the lessons. That's it. But if you're in a relationship that has gone bad, whatever the relationship is, could be with a significant other, a child, a parent, which is usually a big one. One of the things that we did at the cabin experience with Larry was writing a forgiveness letter. You don't have to do that, but if you can find it in your heart to forgive that person, right? I think it goes a long way in your own healing. So right now, if not, and you just hold on to it, you're just creating more anxiety, more depression, more anger within yourself. And that's the only person you're really hurting is yourself. But if you can forgive yourself, forgive somebody else as well, detach from the outcome, so everybody wins. Listen, it's Thanksgiving in a couple of days. This is the time to give thanks. I mean, always give thanks, but especially now, right? Maybe if you have the guts, maybe reach out to that person, call them, right? Call them and let them know you're thinking of them, you love them. Bygones, put whatever differences you have, put aside, and make it a win-win, and make it where everybody wins.
Right. And Ken Mankemeyer, hey buddy, he said doing the right thing even when no one's watching.
Yep.
Is the definition of integrity.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? And that's a big part of it. And forgiveness is not easy for people because they think by letting the other person off the hook, they're being soft, or they're being weak, or they're letting that person win so they lose. And again, we said the universe is abundant. There's no such thing. Those are all made up concepts. And they don't serve you. When we talk about setting goals, when we talk about our journey, however long our God willing, our 100-year journey is up this mountaintop, you either want to do that with an empty backpack that's light, or you want it filled with rocks that starts to weigh you down and make that journey arduous. And we don't want it to be that way, and it doesn't have to be. And these times of year, the times of family and love and forgiveness and thinking back and reflection, those are the times to heal some soured relationships. Sometimes relationships have to go by the wayside, but if that's true, then let it go. Don't carry it around with you. And if there are opportunities to share. If there's opportunities to give. If there's opportunities to learn something new, experience something, and especially do it through someone else's eyes other than your own.
Absolutely.
Okay?
So in closing, the reason why we chose gratitude tonight is because we talked about this as chiropractors, and we coach chiropractors and all that stuff. We really feel the number one practice ingredient is gratitude. It changes your vibration. It changes your energy. The highest vibrational energy is love and gratitude. I think that if you really stop and think about all the things in your life that you could be grateful for and start to act upon those and help somebody else and help other people's, no matter who you are, where you are, what vocation you're in, it doesn't matter. Starting every day with an attitude of gratitude will change your life and will enrich your life in so many ways. So I challenge all of you to get a journal, right? And start to write 7 things that you're grateful for every day. Change your mindset, get in the right state so you can manage your state. Isn't that better than waking up angry or tired or exhausted and then bringing that with you into other relationships and wherever you are? But if you begin to change your state into an attitude of gratitude, it will absolutely change your life, build your practice. You'd be surprised, right? We're not saying you don't need all the scripts and the procedures and systems. We teach all that.
There.
Right. But today we want to let's not forget about your energy and your state management and this attitude of gratitude.
Hi, Rita. Love you. Send my love to the family. And on behalf of Brett and myself, the rest of the Chiro Destiny team, Larry, our coaches, our members, we have been doing this for 11 years. Brett and I have been, coaching for years, on stages since 1997. And I'm grateful for our friendship. I'm grateful for the impact we get to make on chiropractors, who then get to impact their team and their thousands of patients. So it really feels like it's exponential for us. And for all those of you who are watching, you're either personal friends of ours, family members of ours, chiropractors, CAs, and if we've even impacted your life 1 iota tonight or any other night, that is something we do not take lightly at all. We're grateful for you. And hopefully this talk had some sort of impact to make this holiday season a little lighter for you, a little brighter for you. So again, thank you. We wish you an easy, wonderful holiday filled with family, and maybe by Zoom, but maybe by a phone call, maybe by a little FaceTime or whatever, but by family, friendship, love, generosity, a great meal, some good football, some good weather, whatever it is for you. It's just another opportunity to focus on the positive things that we all have coming forward in the future. We love you. We can't wait to see you guys again next Tuesday night. Have a great night and happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.